Let's dive into Orlando Brown and the Baltimore Ravens. The trade buzz is fairly quiet at this current moment, but at some point, I think that will change. Now, Brown has kind of allowed it to be leaked. He wants to play left tackle and get paid like one too. He fared quite well filling in for Ronnie Stanley. And the Ravens unquestionably have a fairly high asking price for a very, very good tackle in the NFL. Like, that makes sense, right? If the Ravens were to move on from Orlando Brown, if they get the offer that they would require to do so, they would be moving on from a great value pick and a damn good player. 3 sacks in 16 games, played right, played left, did a lot of different things for the Ravens last year. The issue for Baltimore is that they just paid Ronnie Stanley, who in theory should be healthy again next year. They have to pay Lamar Jackson, in theory. And between that and Marlon Humphrey's deal and now Orlando Brown probably wanting $20+ million a year, it gets a little bit dicey from the Ravens' perspective. So if they can find a trade partner who gives them a late first, early second at worst, that makes some sense. Now, I think the Ravens have not yet moved Orlando Brown because they don't have the offer that they want on the table yet. Now, the report from The Athletic a couple days ago was 8 teams make some sense. The Chicago Bears at pick 20, I think are a great fit if they want to go get a tackle. The Chargers pick in top 13, probably not. I think they could get one of Rashawn Slater or Penei Sewell there if they get really, really lucky. The Chiefs have a need there, but the money, probably an issue. The Colts could totally do it. Orlando Brown at left tackle, move that first-round pick. I actually love it for Indianapolis. I don't know if they would do it, though, after giving up so much for Carson Wentz. The Dolphins, maybe 2 first-round picks, some money. Not the best fit, though, with Austin Jackson, Robert Hunt on that roster already. The Carolina Panthers, they're definitely not going to move the number 10 overall pick, or the number 8 overall pick, excuse me. But a second-rounder could make sense. What comes down to the Panthers side of it here is you tag Taylor Moton at right tackle. Can Greg Little emerge? If they trust Greg Little, left tackle is not a need. That is not an area that they have to go out and address. If they don't trust Greg Little, it's a big-time need. Minnesota continues to kind of sort of look at tackles, but not fully. And then Washington at 19 also makes some sense. The question is, will the team offer a first-round pick for Orlando Brown? So who will trade for Brown? Make your predictions for me in the comments section. What team do you think will make a move to go out and get Orlando Brown? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. To get the ad break here on YouTube, simply scroll on down and get your votes in. Todd McShay's latest 2-round mock draft is out, so I wanted to break down the Baltimore Ravens selections. Terrace Marshall was the pick at number 27 overall. Good size, great speed, did show some slot ability at LSU. I think in the end, is going to be more of an outside vertical style threat in the NFL. Now, the Ravens badly need more receiver. We should know that. Look at that depth chart. It goes, not great. Probably let's help it Lamar a little bit more here. Let's throw it better to better players in the end. And in a limited sample size this past year for LSU, only 7 games before we opted out, Terrace Marshall put up great numbers. 48 grabs, 731 to the air, 10 scores, and of course also played great in 2019 for LSU. I don't know that he's there in the back end of round 1. A team like Green Bay, for example, could take him. But with his size and his speed, Marshall does make sense for the Baltimore Ravens, Number 58, Jayson Oweh here, is one of the best athletes in this year's draft class. Now, I am fine with him in round 2. Pick 58, not a problem. The round 1 buzz that I've heard about him, not going to get on board with that. look, I love the athlete. Don't get me wrong. It is very difficult for me to justify taking a player early who had 0 sacks this past year. He had 5 in 2019, but in 7 games this year, 0 sacks. And his pressure rate actually dipped this year as well. This is an all upside pick, and that is terrifying. In a way, he is the inverse, the opposite, if you will, of Jalen Ferguson. Like, Ferguson was a bad athlete with great production. Oweh is an awesome athlete with no stats. In round 1, hard pass. If he's here, though, at pick 58, at that point, I am on board with it for Baltimore. So grade this Ravens mock draft for me. Get your votes in. A, B, C, D, or F. What grade are you giving what Todd McShay put together in a 2-round Ravens mock draft? A, B, C, D, or F. Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Some quick training camp notes I wanted to dive into here coming over from our good friend Peter King. And this is interesting to me. He reports the NFL is looking to make the start of training camp into a key event for the league. Remember, you have the NFL draft, right, in late April. The scouting combine in February. NFL free agency in March. All the months have something big there. Not so much when we get to July. So the NFL is at least considering taking this approach. If you guys are familiar with the whole midnight madness thing for college basketball, when all the scrimmages and practices all get going, right? The NFL is considering doing something similar, where they would be able to have 28 teams start camp on July 27th, which is an interesting pitch for the NFL. Now, of the 4 teams who would not do it, you're thinking the 2 teams who are going to play on the Hall of Fame game and the 2 teams playing in the Thursday night opener, so the ones who actually play games earlier get a slightly earlier start. But this is worth monitoring. Now, the flip side here is that it's just the start of practice. So I don't think the NFL would be able to spin it into a whole massive event. However, with the backing of NFL Network, I'm sure ESPN would get on board. You might be able to make it a media creation, which point, you know what? At least we have football back at that point. So I am very curious to see what the path is here for the NFL. But keep an eye out for this move coming probably after the draft officially. NFL camps get going on July 27th, and then they make some major, trying to make it, I should say, a fairly giant NFL-focused training camp, midnight madness type of move. So we'll see if that actually ends up happening, but keep an eye on it for in the not-too-distant future.